Okay. Good morning, everybody. Fred, what are you doing way back there? Someone take your seat? Oh, you may have to go soon. Sorry I asked. Well, honesty. Well, I want to thank you all for coming this morning. It is so good for me to just gather with you, explore truth, come together in a setting that is peaceful, first of all, because peace is the greatest desire that each and every one of us has. We can face almost anything in life if we can maintain peace of mind. I don't know what it was, maybe 10 years ago or even 12, Bambi Shen gave a Sunday morning lesson. And I'm going to paraphrase part of what she said because I can't remember it exactly, but it's if you have peace in your mind, that leads to peace in the home. Peace in the home leads to peace in the neighborhood. Peace in the neighborhood leads to peace in the city. Peace in the city leads to peace in the state, leads to peace in the country, leads to peace in the world. So we often look at the world situation with all the wars going on and the conflict between countries and wonder, what can I do about it? Well, our job, our objective is to simply create a greater sense within our minds of a peaceful presence. A peaceful presence. So if peace of mind is our greatest desire, and we want to increase that in our lives, we have to ask the question, what is it that hampers our peace of mind? I mean, what is it that comes in and disturbs us or disrupts us from having that? We weren't born that way. You know, as babies, the only thing that disturbs them is a physical discomfort. Other than that, they are totally okay with the world the way it is. They have no sorrows or shame or guilt from yesterday. They have no fears and worries and anxieties about the future. They are just right there in the present moment. That's the way they relate to life. That's the way they relate to the world around them. So how are we doing back here? Okay? Everybody hear me? All right, I'm trying to slow down. I'm trying to enunciate. There's a big difference between the sound out here and the sound behind me. Because it goes out, it hits the rough surface of the balcony and then comes back. And so what they have been getting is a gurgled sound, but it only happens when I speak. So their relationship with me has been to coach me and say, you talk too fast, you don't enunciate enough, sometimes you slur your words, and that's what I'm practicing on. So then, anyway, as babies, we don't have all this conflict that disrupts our peace of mind, but when we get to adults, we do. And why is that? All of the disruption in our lives comes from one source and one source only, and that's relationships. As a matter of fact, all of the experience in your life as a human being comes about as the way you relate to other people, or other things, or other places, or circumstances. Relationships are everything in regards to our emotional life experience. Without relationships, there would be no emotion because we'd have nothing to relate to. So that being the case, we take a look at our lives and we see that each and every one of us is more or less a composite of all the relationships that we have. There is nothing else to us on a human level. Take all the relationships outside of your mind and there is nothing left there. I can't think of a single thing that I could say in regards to myself or regards to something that I did yesterday or regards to my life that doesn't involve a relationship on a human level. Now, I'm reiterating this over and over again because we have to understand how important relationships are in our life experience. They are everything. Now, that's important to know because there are three principles of relationships that we practice. We can increase the peace of mind and the harmony in our lives. And the first point is that every relationship that I have is a part of me. I have a relationship with Heidi, and oftentimes when we talk about relationships, we think that they are joint custody or that they are shared with each other, but that's not the case. My relationship with Heidi is mine and mine alone. It's within me, it's a part of me, and it involves or it encases the way I relate to her. All the feelings that I have about Heidi are inside me. In that same respect, Heidi's relationship with me is hers and hers alone. It is inside her, and it's all the feelings and the emotions that she has in regards to me. Now, oftentimes, relationships aren't on the same track. If Heidi did something to upset me, and I became highly irritated with her, but she didn't know, and she came into my office on Monday morning, her relationship with me at that point would be loving, likable, warm, friendly, but my relationship with her would be disgruntled. See what I mean? So every relationship I have is a part of me, it's mine, I own it, and that transfers over to taking the responsibility for the condition of every relationship. The second point is every relationship has an emotional content. And that emotional content is how I feel about whatever it is I'm relating to. So first we have every relationship I have is a part of me. Then we move to every relationship has an emotional content, and that's a part of me. If I dislike somebody, then there's dislike within me. If I'm in disharmony with something, then there's disharmony within me. If there's hatred towards something, then there is hatred within me. But it's all within me, it's all mine to do with what I choose, and that's the third point. We are a combination or a composite of all our relationships. Every relationship has an emotional condition to it, and the third thing is I can do anything I want with that. If I've been hurt by somebody, or if I'm mad at somebody, or if I dislike somebody, that's all within me. And if it upsets me, I'm the one that infected myself with those toxic emotions, and I'm the only one that can heal it. Now, as an example, when I was in 7th grade, I was at the park one day playing with all of my friends when a guy named Charlie, a good friend of mine, came up behind me, and Charlie's about a foot taller than me and about 50 pounds heavier. He was a big kid at 12 years old, probably 6 foot tall. He came up behind me, and he put his arms through mine and locked his hands like this around my neck, and so I was kind of handcuffed, so to speak, and then he lifted me up off the ground. And this was kind of funny because I was powerless, funny to everybody else but me. And it began to hurt. And so I yelled and I yelled and I yelled, and finally Charlie took and he kind of thrust me forward. I landed on the ground, knocked the wind out of me, bloodied my nose, and everybody else kind of laughed and thought it was a funny thing. When I left the park that day, I vehemently pledged to myself that I would never, ever have a relationship with Charlie again. And even though we saw each other as we continued to grow up, I never socialized with him. I didn't even acknowledge his presence when I was someplace. I just moved away, and that Charlie incident at the park was always there. Okay, now we fast forward 30 years. I'm in ministerial school out at Unity Village, and in ministerial school, one of the training exercises that I had to do was to disassemble my life, every single little bit of it. You know, from childhood to parents to previous occupations to friends, look at all of the relationships that made up me and discover if there was anything in those relationships that would prevent me from being a minister. Was there anything that needed to be healed? I didn't think there was. I was happy that I was in school. I was living a good life, madly in love with a woman. Everything was fine until I got into this disassembling exercise, and guess what I found? The Charlie in the Park incident. And it wasn't healed at all. The same feelings, the same hurt, the same desire to cry was right there. And even though I tried to forgive, for some reason I couldn't. I tried to forget the incident, but the hurt was still there. So in talking with my student advisor, we came to the conclusion that what was really needed was for me to run down Charlie, not literally, find Charlie and sit down and have a face-to-face talk with him. And the counselor said at that time, you might want to bring up the incident in the park and you might not. But you need to see this man face-to-face. So the next time I went to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I looked Charlie up. I was told that he had a business of his own. He was a mechanic for big truck repair. So I went out to his garage.